I got halfway through installing this thing and figured some other people could use some instructions since the package didn't come with any. It's how to upgrade your regular little chintzy exhaust fan and turn it into something with a little more power. First thing I had to do was take the 4 screws off this guy. You can see here there's 4 screws on the corners. Once you take those out, Phillips head screws, this thing's going to want to fall on your head, so just be ready for that. Try to hold it up with one hand while you're pulling screws. Try not to lose your screws. After that, you'll be left with this guy up top, and your hand crank is going to be on there like so. Just takes a Phillips head screw, pull that out, and then you're going to have this motor up here. You got to pull this plastic fan blade off, and then there were 2 Phillips head screws that held this motor in. This is 12 volts, and you don't want to touch your white wire to your black wire, or else you'll cause a short. If you're worried about doing that, unplug your camper, disconnect your battery, and then you can test it with the meter. Make sure you don't have 12 volts there. Or just be careful to not touch the two together. If you do, you'll probably blow a fuse in your converter. Next, you wire up your white to white, black to black. Probably shouldn't let it hang by the wire, but oh well. Give her a test. Make sure you're good to go. That thing rips a lot more air than the old one. Now's a good time to probably tidy up some wiring, throw some zip ties on there, clean it up so that when you go to lift this thing up into your hole, you don't pinch any wires. There is a little spline groove right there that you're going to want to line up where your crank handle was, so you can still operate your vent. Okay, I got this thing up here. If you look right there, there's a screw, and then over here another screw. I suggest you put this handle on before you go to hold it up so that you can turn that little spline shaft to line it up with the teeth while you're holding it up. Okay, I got those 2 little screws in way up in there. They're the short little Phillips head screws. You can use the ones you took out, or there's some new ones in the kit. Once you got this thing lined up and screwed in, operate your vent. Make sure your vent opens and closes. And then I believe there's a little screw that goes in this guy. I gotta check that. Okay, I just noticed up in here you can actually change the position of where that little gear thing is depending on where your original vent was. So if yours doesn't fit the first time, you may have to move it. And they also send it with a shim to adjust the height of that guy so you can get it to line up. Mine luckily lined up with the way it came set up. I did not find a screw that fit inside of this. All the ones that came with the kit I think are a little too big for this guy. It's just plastic, and I think if I try to run one of those bigger screws in there, it's going to split. So either I'll find a screw later if this becomes a problem, but we'll see. If it stays on there, I'm not really going to worry about it. So after this, we'll grab that old shroud that we took off the 4 screws at the beginning, throw that back on, and we should be good to go. As I was putting this shroud on, it was a little bit of a tight fit getting up in there, but if you just gently push on these corners, maybe 2 at a time, you can get it pushed up in there without cracking it. I mean, these get pretty brittle once they get a little old, so just be careful. I wouldn't try getting it on there and then trying to run it up with the screws. I'd go by hand and go gentle. Alright, that's it. I wasn't able to draw it up completely flush. I mean, there's a little bit of a gap here, but you really don't see it unless you're looking for it. I could mess with it more, but that thing is really brittle, and I don't want to mess it up. Maybe I could have filed some down on that little peg that your little screw goes through, but I didn't want to risk having this gearbox not line up, so I'm gonna live with it the way it is. That's fine with me. When you're done, you know, just check it out, make sure it works. Vent opens and closes, and you can run your fan. This is the Vortex one by Heng's. I was looking at them for a while, saw it on Amazon, and then it disappeared on me. Couldn't find it on there. Ended up finding it for about 80 bucks on Camping World. But yeah, it's a Vortex one by Heng's. Show you a picture of the box here. Right there. So go ahead and give that a Google, and good luck.